and Zotwa really wanted to go. Temba, though, had absolutely no interest. After badgering him with no luck, Zotwa finally said, "If you don't go with me, do you know that I'll be the only woman there?" Temba shrugged and said, "If I go with you, you will still be the only woman there." Good evening and welcome to Opportunity Tuesday on Talk with Rams Live. We're coming to you slightly early and you will know why shortly. Thank you for choosing us and thank you for being our mate. This remains the most powerful 30 minutes of digital content. I'm so happy to be talking digital content because the guest I'm talking about will love that word. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as usual. The same name, Talk with Rams, on all platforms. Finally, the SA Innovation Summit has taken off. Today was the opening day, and a plethora of amazing speakers mesmerized us with amazing and empowering content. Among others, we had a conversation on unpacking the growth of female entrepreneurship, particularly in South Africa. There were also testimonials by female founders and enablers from the continent sharing what it takes to be a female entrepreneur in Africa. Well, you did not buy the ticket, so you missed out. But you can still buy your ticket now and catch amazing content tomorrow and Thursday. And the 10% discount still stands. All you have to do is to just use the code RAMS10 to get your details, and you will be in the room with some of the best minds from all corners of the world. Speaking of which, tonight we go international again. Dan Willis is the Millennial Motivator with over 15 years of international digital marketing experience on 3 continents in multiple languages. With insights into the power of relationship marketing, video content, and the emerging millennial Generation Z marketplace, your brand will learn how to not only succeed today, but how to build success for the future. Dan will be presenting on Thursday, and tonight's interview should whet your appetite to be in the room with him when he's there. Also, because only if you are in the room will you qualify for an opportunity for a one-on-one coaching with Dan on your digital strategy. But only if you're in the room, you will qualify for that opportunity. It's not guaranteed. Remember, all of us are going to compete for this opportunity, including me. Talk with Rams Life is going to be competing to get Dan to coach us for free to grow this platform. So you and I are in competition. Join us on Thursday to listen to him. So remember to send us your comments and questions on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And also, or you can also WhatsApp us, send your WhatsApp voice notes on 067-271-8239. Whew. Good evening, Dan, and good day to you. Where in Canada are you talking to us tonight, mate?
I'm right on the ocean with you guys, just on the other side of the ocean, so right by Montreal.
Ah, excellent. Thank you so much for joining us. You look like you dressed for snow.
Yeah, this is exactly how Canadians dress all the time. Regardless of blizzards, we love the t-shirts and shorts. So,
well, I'll tell you this much. I mean, I love the snow, but I love it mostly on TV. So I'll leave it to you to experience it. It's amazing on television.
Yeah, we definitely have that in common, I think.
Your topic at the summit is, and I'm going to quote it, the current global landscape is fertile soil for those with the ability to evolve rapidly and consistently. The only barrier to entry is the depth of your firm's innovation. Now, I hear you in a few ways. In fact, now you can say it in as many ways as you want. What would be the basic message and lessons that we would get from this topic?
Yeah, boil it down to its simplest form. It's going to be crisis creates opportunity for innovation.
Oh, I like that, crisis, because the world is, I hope, is slowly coming out of COVID-19 pandemic. That's a serious crisis. We've seen lots of crises. In my lifetime, this is the biggest. All others have been historic. I've read about the World War I. I've read about the Spanish flu. I haven't seen a bigger crisis like this one. Are you saying post this is big opportunity time?
Yeah, essentially that's what we're going to break down, is how despite the insanity, economically, politically, medically, this is actually, well, right now in the midst of it, it feels really scary, it feels terrible. What's about to come is actually going to be a huge opportunity for people globally to do some new exciting things. So we're going to kind of take a look at what that is going to play out.
From a digital point of view, what sort of opportunities are we talking about here?
I mean, one of the interesting things that we saw over the last decade or so was more globalization. So you see teams that are now connecting, like you and I are right now over Zoom.
Yes, yes.
But the interesting thing is there was a lot of companies, especially North America, Europe, that still stayed very insulated. They stayed in their little bubbles. We'll have a European bubble and we'll all get together, and we'll have an American bubble and we'll all get together. And what we're seeing happen right now with Zoom is people don't really care where you are. Your location is no longer a criteria or qualifier for what you're capable of doing. People realize right now, and especially as we see teams coming together, trying to create solutions that work for everybody everywhere in the world, regardless of where you are geographically, it's presenting an opportunity for people to connect with teams where, well, I want a team that has a little bit from Asia, a little bit from Africa, a little bit from Europe, some North Americans in there, some South Americans in there, maybe an Australian tucked into the mix. We just have this huge opportunity now where these barriers about where you are no longer as important as they once were.
It's true. I mean, I can imagine 20 years ago, I would have had to send you a fax. We probably would have had what is called a trunk call and a transatlantic call. Now we're doing this thing live. It's visual, it's digital, the quality is amazing. Of course, once in a while, there'll be some interruptions here and there. The world has completely changed. So we can connect quickly, immediately across the world. But even then, I think to myself, with such interconnectedness, what is the one thing that's going to separate men from boys in differentiating our business?
Yeah, for me, it's that ability to engage with community locally, even though we are at a distance. So for me, I know a lot of people when I'm talking to them about, okay, well, I'm going to go talk in France, or I'm going to go talk, I want to talk with these guys in South Africa. I want to do this. People are looking at me like, you're nuts. Why don't you just stay here in North America? The business is good. Money's good. I'm like, you're missing out. There's such an amazing community, and you build these new connections in your mind of, oh, this is how they're doing things over there. This is how they're doing things and innovating, doing things in a different way. And it's amazing to me. I was speaking with Janet Machuka in Kenya. She runs a Twitter chat, and it was amazing to see how she was putting things together and how they were talking about and having conversations about social media that were completely different streams of conversations than what we're talking about here in Canada and in the States. And for me, that's the value here, is for you to get rid of those barriers you put on yourself of, no, we're good. We understand ourselves. That's all we need to know. You're missing out on the opportunity of learning from other cultures, other environments that are using the same tools, but in new, innovative ways. And I loved at the start of your chat there where you're like, WhatsApp. Here's my WhatsApp number, guys. Call in, give me your questions. This is not a rapidly used tool here in North America. And I think it's a missed opportunity, because when I'm talking to people, India, Africa, China, Singapore, they're saying that this is a rapidly used tool. Most people have adopted this tool in their business practices, and we're not yet using it here. And so for me, I love this opportunity to learn from each other as a global community, but then adopt it locally in where you are and what you're doing.
I am gobsmacked. I mean, and not because we're backward, but we depend on so much American and North American technology. It's Google, it's WhatsApp, it's Facebook, it's all those things. When you tell me that we are catching on WhatsApp more than you guys are, I really feel chuffed. I really feel like we're doing something amazing.
You are. And what I love about it is, from our side, I think a lot of us here need to learn some humility. I think there's a lot of pride, and I don't want to go as far as arrogance, but there's a lot of pride that we know everything, and we don't. I see so many innovators in what's happening elsewhere in the world that are doing things that we just don't do because we take so much for granted here. So I'm really loving getting questions online from people from South Africa, people saying we're excited to talk about this with the summit. Some questions that are coming to me completely out of left field. I never would have even thought of them. They're coming in and it's like, this is amazing. I love that this is challenging me with, oh, you think you know everything? You think you've been in the industry? Here's a curveball from you. What do you do with this? It's an amazing opportunity.
Let me ask you a great R question. What is a digital strategy?
Yeah, so for me, a digital strategy is that roadmap where you're trying to outline how best can I make my vision for my company, whether it's product, whether it's service, it doesn't matter. How are you best connecting that to the community it's looking to serve? And this is where that relationship really plays in and learning, okay, great, we've got this. And I know there are people out there that want it, but how do we get from A to Z in connecting them, showing them that value, and then building more than customers, but building a relationship and a really tied community to that strategy?
You see, I like people who make my life easy because now I get it. But then, in your experience, then, do SMEs that lack good digital strategies? I mean, or rather, let me ask a different question first. In your experience, do you find that SMEs are a bit lacking when it comes to digital strategies?
What I find is over time, and this is largely through education, traditional post-secondary programs, even just in the industry itself, SMEs like to talk numbers. Look at our KPIs and our ROI and look at all these charts and data and everything we have. And somewhere along the way, somebody forgot that it's actually about people. It's people connecting to people to help people to do things with other people. And so for me, what I'm starting to see evolve out of this, not just this crisis, but a little bit before this crisis is people are getting back to that understanding of if you're not putting the people first, you're missing the opportunity. And we see a lot of the major leaders in industry doing this. We see Nike focused on how are we actually helping athletes, one-on-one, people, communities that are struggling during this. How do we encourage athletes? How do we move forward with that? When we're looking at musicians, when we're looking at film, when we're looking at a lot of the issues, I know here stateside, there's a lot going on with BLM, so the Black Lives Matter movement. We're seeing a lot of brands recognize it's not always just about the product. It's not always about what we're selling. It's about the people that we're serving and how can we best serve them during this time. And I'm absolutely loving the shift in SMEs where the message isn't just about here, buy my thing, buy my thing, buy my thing. Now it's about who are you guys as people? How do we actually relate to you as a company? And how can we serve you best with what we do while at the same time realizing you're not just a number on a board?
And I can imagine that a number of clients, whether they're a client for a service or a product, they now have a choice on a much bigger global scale. So if my strategy is not strong enough, they'll buy from 10 because they don't have to be in the same room with 10. Well, they can be in the same room digitally with 10.
Yeah, and that's another big thing for me is, and I talked about this a little bit earlier, where I see innovators. I see people coming up with innovative new solutions, not because it's out of, well, I want to be creative today, but it's out of necessity. Places where you have solutions not readily as available. I can plug into 1 gigabyte download internet, no problem here. I work with people in countries where that's not necessarily the case. And so they've got to get really creative with what they're doing and how they're working with social media, assets, creating video. They don't have the same technology. And yet those solutions that they're coming up with are actually 9 times out of 10 just as good, if not better, than what we're just being lazy with over here. And so for me, yeah, that's exactly it. Like, why would I work with some overpriced person doing the exact same thing they've always done here stateside when I can look to other places where people are being innovators and doing some very creative things that I otherwise wouldn't see done, and a lot of the times for a much smaller budget.
Do we all need it? Do we all need digital strategies? I mean, if I ran a small farming enterprise, do I need it as much as somebody who runs a marketing enterprise, somebody who runs a baby clothing enterprise, somebody who's a motivational speaker? Do we all need this?
Do we all need it? I think if you are one of the companies out there, if you're a business that is serving locally, your neighbors, the guy next door, your person next door, is it going to hurt to have it? No. Do you need to have it? Is it absolutely essential? I'm going to be honest with you. The relationships you build with your neighbors are going to benefit you 9 times out of 10 a lot more than having a Facebook page, getting to know those people face to face. Now, that being said, if you have a product or a service that you are offering outside your immediate locale, so we're talking more than 10 blocks away, absolutely. You absolutely need that. because it's going to allow you to connect at a distance. And especially right now, where there's a lot of prohibition of, we don't want you traveling, we don't want you going out, we don't want you meeting people face to face, we don't want you doing those things. That social media presence, that digital strategy allows you to connect to people that may be one city away, 2 cities away, a country away, a continent away. It just opens up the opportunity for you that much more. So again, want, need, if you're serving mom and pop next door, maybe not as much. However, if you're looking to reach anywhere outside of your block, yeah, absolutely. It's something that's just going to open a lot more opportunities for you, and not having it is going to close a lot more doors to you for sure.
The term digital strategy, or even digitization on its own, can sound heavy and daunting to somebody who runs their little shop somewhere and stuff like that. Do I need to be a PhD, an astronaut of some sort, to be able to run a proper digital strategy?
Okay, so I'll let you in on the secret. I myself had never finished high school. I just dove right into the business world. I got to work. I got to figuring out how people work. I built relationships, and I just worked in the industry. And for me, I think that resonates. I find I can relate to people a lot more globally on that, where there's a lot of places people don't go get that post-secondary education. They don't go to university or college to learn how to do this. And the reality is this: no matter who you are right now, if I ask you, who are your closest relationships, people come to mind. You're going to have people popping to mind. You know people, you relate to people, you have conversations, you have a community that you belong to. That is all digitalization is. Taking those same concepts of community, meeting with people, talking with people, having those conversations, it's just doing it in a different place. You used to get together at your house and have a meal and talk with people over a dinner. Now you do it over a Zoom call across an ocean. It's the exact same thing. If you get to know people and relationships and communities, you're going to thrive no matter what your education level is. If you can connect to people on a one-to-one basis, you're going to knock it out of the park.
In the most practical terms, then, what are the lowest hanging fruit, the easiest things that one can do digitally to improve their reach to customers, current and potential?
Okay, so just like any relationship, for those of you that are married out there, or you're dating somebody, consistency is key, right? If you don't see your wife for a week, you're probably going to be in trouble, right? You don't call the girlfriend.
Or happy.
Oh,
I mean, it depends.
The relationship is probably not going to get stronger from you not being close and talking all the time, right? You don't call your boyfriend or girlfriend for a month, you're going to be in a little bit of hot water. It's the same thing when you come to business, right? That consistency and constant communication with people builds relationships. As a business, I've got people saying like, well, I can't get on because there's not really anything to discuss with people about what I'm doing with my digital strategy today. There's no updates every day or every week that I really need to give. You're missing the point. The point is getting on and asking your clients, how are you guys doing right now? Do you have any questions? What are you guys struggling with? How can I help you? And it's amazing for me to see, because I have these conversations with other digital marketers, digital strategists, and they're going, oh, it's so hard to keep clients right now. Things are falling out. I'm like, how often are you calling them? How often are you talking to these people and asking them what their pain points are, what they're struggling with? Oh, well, we don't do that. Then what are you doing?
What are the most common mistakes you have seen us small entrepreneurs commit when managing our own digital content? Because I mean, look, truth is, a lot of people have moved. A lot of people have learned. We can Google stuff. We can try our own stuff. We can press here and there. But then we don't get professionals like you to help us. What are these small mistakes that we commit that could actually be detrimental, if not fatal, to our businesses?
I think the biggest thing that I come up against is people going, well, this is how things are. They just kind of accept it. This is where we are. This is the situation. This is the best that we can do. We're doing pretty good compared to whoever over here and whoever over here. But they stop innovating at some point. And whether that's they are comfortable where they are, or they get so burdened and bogged down with, oh, I've got these little things that I've got to take care of all day, every day, and there's never time to innovate or get creative and grow. I think that's probably the biggest mistake. When you stop innovating, when you stop getting creative, when you stop trying new things, that's when you start to actually slide back, because somebody else is coming up the way that is constantly innovating, coming up with new ideas, not staying the same, learning, growing, doing new things. So I love as you rhymed off. Guys, we are on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, and great. But when's Snapchat? When's Instagram Live, right? When's LinkedIn Live? It's constantly about what are we doing next? Are you guys on Twitch yet? Right? Like, are you using Amazon's platform? There's so many opportunities to continue innovating and growing. And so many small businesses get tied down and bogged down that they stop growing and innovating.
Your last point just got my technical producer fired. We're not doing enough. We're not reaching other audiences because we're not using all the platforms. So Freddie, you can actually switch off now. I don't need you anymore. You're not doing your job. but then the other thing that I tend to worry about is I'd like to scale my frequency, the frequency of communicating with my audience, with my customers. But there is always a risk of spam. How do I balance between scaling the frequency and making sure that people don't look at me like, oh, not him again?
So when I call people, the conversations that I have is very much like this. It's not an official business meeting. I don't put on a suit and a tie and we've got a formal agenda and let's sit down and knock this out. It's literally me talking to them as a person. So if I call a client up and it's been a few days, I talk to them on Monday, I call them again on Friday because I said I'd follow up on something. They're not sweating it because usually it's, hey, how are you? How's the family? How are things going out there? And it starts with that personal basis first. And then it's, is there anything else that we need to cover? No, but you know what? Thanks for calling and just, touching base, seeing how things are going, seeing if there's anything. You don't always have to commit to, I've got a half hour slotted and we need to sit down and we're going to go over everything that we just went over last week and we're going to beat it into the ground until you're bored out of your mind. That's not what it's about. Sometimes it's as simple as a 2, 3, 4 minute phone call. Call the client. Hey man, how are things going?
Do I need lots of money to be digitally suave? Do I to reach a level where people are going to say, damn, this guy is hot? Do I have to go break the bank?
If you've got one of these, you got all you need.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a phone. That's
Yes.
it. For those of you listening instead of watching, it's a phone. If you got a phone by your side, you have a walking broadcast studio in your hand. This is all you need. You can call a client, you can create a video on it, you can post to social media on it. You've got a walking social media business right here in your hand. That's all you need.
You don't even need some skill of some sort. Don't I need to go to class, even if it's on a Saturday afternoon, to get a little bit, sophisticated at this?
So a chainsaw is a pretty simple tool, right? You pull the string and it cuts through the log. No problem. Yes. Am I going to give my chainsaw to my 6-year-old? Probably not, because in the hands of a 6-year-old, it's going to lead to either missing fingers or a house that's been cut into a million pieces, right? It's the same thing with social media. Don't get me wrong, this is a tool, not a toy, but if you don't know how to use it effectively, there's a good chance you're going to lose some fingers digitally. You're going to cut off some body parts that you wish you hadn't. Okay, so this is why getting educated and listening to programs like this, Talk with Rams, as well as going to events like the SAIS, it's so crucial because you learn how to use the tool in the best way possible. And this is one of the reasons why I love going to events and doing talks like this, because I often learn more than I actually bring to the event.
Amazing. Okay, finally, I'm told you're involved in something very interesting, and I'd like to know a bit about it. Match and Invest platform. What is that?
So yeah, I do stock market investing. That's one of the things that I started educating people on as we went into the crisis. Like I said, the crisis that we're facing isn't just medical or political, it's economical in a big way. And if you look back to a lot of those things that you had mentioned, Spanish flu, the World War, we often see the economy tank during those times. But immediately after that, we see the economy take off like a rocket again. And so what I wanted to do during this time was go, okay, I've got this digital marketing thing down pretty well. I have a fairly good grasp and understanding of it. Can I learn something new to help people come out of this stronger than they went into it? And so I did. Starting in January, I started learning how to do that. And now I'm teaching people how to do that.
Well, I'll tell you this much. Because I spoke to you before your presentation on Thursday, I said to myself, okay, on Thursday, I'll be doing something different. Actually, even more now, I want to be in that room then. I want to listen to that presentation of yours. I want to engage even further because you really left me inspired. I honestly look forward to your presentation, and we're going to make sure that as many people as possible join us on Thursday when you make your presentation at the summit. Thank you so much for tonight, and I truly appreciate your insights.
It was wonderful to be here. Make sure, guys, if you don't have your tickets, use that promo code. You got the Talk with Rams promo code. There's no reason for you not to do it. You get a discount where everybody else has to pay full price. So use that code, get in there. I would love to talk with you guys. Hopefully you guys win this thing, that one-on-one session over Rams, but maybe Rams will get it and I get to hang out with him a little bit longer.
And if we do, actually, I'll give them a bonus. We'll then do our one-on-one and we make it live so that they can watch us and drool.
Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Excellent. Dan Willis, from all the way from Canada. It's been wonderful chatting. I will see you at least again digitally in the room on Thursday.
Sounds good.
And folks, we're staying with the summit tomorrow. More content from you, from us to you. And as we said, this week is not limited to our 7:30 slot. We'll come in and out during the day when there's amazing stuff, get a lot of speakers that we can speak to and send you this content. Please do not miss it. If you're going to grow in your business, innovation is the only answer. From me, Rams Mabote, good night and God bless.
We know that networking done right can be the opportunity of a lifetime. A chance to meet your next investment opportunity, key client, and potential partner. Why waste time sifting through vague profiles to set up a meeting in the dark, only to find out it's not worth anyone's time? Sound familiar? We don't mean a blind date. With Match and Invest, we bring light to your next networking meeting. We understand your needs and those of your potential clients and partners. We profile you, then we match you to the best meetings for your success. This is networking reimagined, fast, efficient, and effective. Welcome to Match and Invest at the SA Innovation Summit.